Hey, Soumya, I think we can begin now.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Saptadeepa, can you hear her?
Yeah,
Great.
yeah. I can hear you all. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Hi. Hello, everyone. This is Soumya, and I'm working with Opportunity Cell as a volunteer. And I'm very delighted to welcome all of you in today's webinar as we are going to conduct a live question and answer session on how we can get placed at Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. So thanks to all of you for taking your time out and being here today. Also, we will be running a live question and answer session at the end of this webinar. That's why we have enabled our chat section. So you have permission from us. You can bombard the chat box from your doubts, from your queries, but we will answer all those queries at the end of this webinar. All right. So I know most of you wondering how this session are going to help you out and what exactly Opportunity Cell is. So here is the answer. So basically, Opportunity Cell is one of the largest opportunity discovery platform where we provide multiple job opportunities for freshers, for youth across the worldwide. And trust me, most of the youth have trusted us, and they also gain a lot of opportunities free of that to free of cost, and also they have availed a lot of educational content for the self development. So as I mentioned, most of the youth have trusted us. So among those youth, we have two youth from them. One is Shreya from Tamil Nadu, and another is Sapdeepa from West Bengal. Hi Sapdeepa, hi Shreya. I welcome to both of you. Yeah. So
Hello. Yeah.
Sapdeepa can, yeah. Hi.
Yeah.
So Sapdeepa,
Hi.
can we start with your large little of short of introduction? Can you please tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah. I'm Saptadeepa. I am 23 now, and I'm working. It's going to be 1 year since I'll be working as the state coordinator for the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment under their project monitoring unit. And I'm handling presently two states, which are West Bengal and Sikkim. And I'm handling all these scheme affairs as a representative from our ministry in the both of these states. So whatever affairs which are concerning to the state authorities or say district authorities, I try to talk it out, and I also try to like assess and evaluate all the grant and aid institutions which are being funded by our ministry. So that is majorly my role. And apart from that, I'm an artist, so we can talk about that later. But yeah.
That's great. This as well. So Shreya, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, Soumya, your voice is not clear. I think you need to keep your microphone a bit closer to your mouth. Soumya?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I mean, it just needs to be more louder.
I'm just saying, can you introduce yourself, Shreya?
Yeah, sure. So, hi everyone, I'm Shreya. I'm from Jaipur, Rajasthan, currently working with Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. I have been in the development sector for last 2 to 3 years, and of course, volunteering in college and during my school time. So, I worked with Haryana government previously to my present role. I was working with Haryana government in the vocational education field. And before that, I was working with Oxfam as a partnership development executive, and I helped plan them strategies to how to make private entities to sustainable businesses. And I've done my graduation in philosophy honors applied psychology, and soon after that I did my master's in development management from ISDN. And yeah, that's about me. My allocated states in PMU, MOSG are Jammu Kashmir, Ladakh, Uttar Pradesh. And yeah, happy to help in any way I can. Thank you.
Great. So, Saptipa, how did you get this job? Like, from where you get this information? Like, NIST is hiring for this state coordinator, as most of the freshers are worried about their career, as they think they will any government job will not hire any fresher. So, how did you get to know about this job?
So I think before answering that question, I missed to mention my academic background. I did my bachelor's in social sciences from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, and I did my master's in development studies from IIT Guwahati. And right after that, I joined the ministry. I got to know about this opportunity last year around, say, February end, I think, from the Opportunity Cell platform itself. So, yeah. So that's there.
Okay. And Shreya, you also got this job by the help of Opportunity Cell. Am I right?
No, that time I was not a subscriber of Opportunity Cell. I recently subscribed to it. I got to know it through an officer when I was working with Haryana government. So he informed me that such an position is open. So,
Okay, so as you both are working as a state coordinator, so how the states are connected with this state coordinator designation? Like how your senior will allocate different kind of different states for different coordinator. I
it is
guess
based.
Shreya, you're
Yeah,
yeah.
hi. It is based on certain parameters like what is in your native state, what are the languages that you're able to speak, then multiple other parameters. And at our time, they did give us an option to choose top three preferences, but it is not always based on our preferences. Some of us did not get our preferences, so it's completely based on how they seem you to be a fit in a certain state, and it might or might not be your native state. For some of us it was, for some of us it wasn't. And yeah, definitely not every time everyone gets their preference, or maybe top 3 4 preference. People might not get their top one or top two or something. So it's primarily based on their idea of us, their understanding of how would we function better in a particular state. Yeah, and they decide, like the senior officials at ministry and NIST, they decide the allocation process.
Okay.
Saptadeepa, you
And
would
this
want to.
allocation, yeah, I just wanted to add that this whole allocation process was done after an orientation program. We had like orientation program for 2 weeks, and after that, based on based on their understanding of us, as Shreya mentioned, they allocated us states. I got my preferred states, but like for example, if there are 2 or 3 more people for one state who have given their preferences for, the ministry allocates according to their understanding of the candidate. So yeah, that
Okay.
is there.
Okay. So as you mentioned, based on the caliber and based on the competitiveness of the candidate, they will assign a state, right? So have you ever faced any kind of disbiasedness, or like you are getting like we are not get any state according to our caliber?
So actually, this happened only one time since then, and we are working for that states only. There is no rotation of states since a year now. So uh, I cannot comment on the future work of action for the ministry, but the states have been same since the time we have joined this job.
Okay.
Also, in the
So
long
how,
run,
yeah,
it. Hello.
yeah, continue.
Yeah, also in the long run, it does not actually matter because we have to travel across India. So there have been instances like I've traveled
Yeah, that's there.
apart from my states, right? Because they will place you where the need is. So, for example, if there's a need in Northeast, you might have to travel to Northeast because that's what the demand is. And hence, and for example, there can be surprise visits like for inspections and travel. They can send you to any state. So that, of course, language and certain parameters do come into account. But even in that case, travel can be like the travel can like the person can be sent to any of the states in India. And secondly, the two things that remain constant are one of them is that your interaction with the officials of the state government. So hence, when you say that the state coordinator, one of the major roles is also interacting with the state government. So that is being constant. No other state coordinator would definitely interact with the state government officials because you are the one who has built the rapport and they know you, and certain documents has been sent by your name. So that does not change. However, your travel part does change. You can travel. You can be asked to travel in any of the states, and you have to be okay with it. There is no choice given. So you have to travel.
Okay, Soumya, I can see a question in the chat box. Do we answer that now or do we answer it afterwards?
Yeah, we will answer all those questions at the end of this webinar.
Okay then. That's
Yeah.
fine.
So, like you're working as a state coordinator, so what was your basic job roles? Like, what kind of work you need to do while undertaking this designation?
In my understanding, the primary job which we are doing under this role is going to the grant and aid institution. Now, what does grant and aid institutions mean? That means they're getting funds from our ministry under these schemes which the ministry has initiated, and they get the funds to run their organization under that very scheme. So those are called grant and aid institutions. Our major job is to go and inspect those institutions to assess and evaluate their efficiency, their work performance, the kind of services they're providing to their beneficiaries. In a way, we also get to interact with the beneficiaries. And apart from that, so these are basically our major job roles when we are on field. We also have to contact the state officials, starting from the district officials, the district social welfare officers, or say district collectors, and then state welfare secretaries. So whenever it is required and whenever there's any direction from our ministry to go and communicate with them. And apart from that, when we are off field, basically when we are working from the office, which maybe approximately is like 1 week a month, I think. So we work on the policy, basically policy making analysis work, or say any documentation which need modification according to the ministry's need in a certain scheme. So we also work on that, and we also provide insights from our side based on the field observations we have done, so that it helps out the ministry to take the necessary actions. And we also inform about the possible loopholes which are there in place, which we bring into attention through our reports to the ministry, and then they take the further call of action. So yeah, I think if I have missed anything, Shreya, please add.
No, I think you have summarized it beautifully. So yeah, I mean, most of the job is liaising with the state government official and traveling for inspections. Apart from that, there can be anything there can be anything asked from the ministry. For example, there are multiple departments in the ministry. So if I have to introduce ministry, I would just give you a basic insight onto what ministry's mandates are. So ministry has two departments. One is social justice and one is empowerment of physically disabled people. Right now, we are not directly working with the other department. We are only looking after social justice. We still do some of the projects of physically empowered citizens, but however, in the social justice, there are multiple departments. One is SC, OBC, then there is drugs, social defense, then under that there is drugs, transgender, and beggary. Then there's senior citizen. So all these different departments have multiple schemes. So our major role is to monitor all these schemes. Now this monitoring can happen via travel, and we have also done certain calls and like met people and all of that. So overall monitoring of all the schemes is the major idea. So yeah, and we can be involved in any other work also. For example, we did social audits of Manrega because
Yeah.
ministry wants to adopt social audit as a process. So we were sent to sent to Andhra to learn about the process of social audit. So I mean, it's not necessarily of only licensing and travel. There are multiple other things and multiple other schemes. So you can be asked to do multiple things from ministry.
Okay. So I have one question from Sabdeepa. Like you told us, you provide insights on the basis of the field observation. So what kind of insights you are required to give?
Majorly, we will have to. I mean, uh, there is a specific like report format, and we have to mention about the possible loopholes. Like in case organization is dysfunctioning, or it's like a fraud case, or say it's not treating its beneficiary the right way. We need to bring certain these kind of observations in the view of the ministry, so that they can take the necessary actions. Yeah.
Okay, pretty clear. Okay, so as you told us, like you have to travel from a state to state based on the assignment of by your seniors. So
Yes.
what are the pros and cons that you have faced so far while traveling or while observing any state?
Okay, should I answer, or should Shreya go first about it? Because these are like personal experiences, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
So you can.
pros would be see, in the traveling process, when you get to meet one of the good part which I have learned is I get to work with the on field organizations as well. It's not always the case that we always looking for loopholes.
Yeah.
We also try so the major intention is not to like shut down all the like all the dysfunctioning organizations, but we also need to look forward to the organizations who are working really good, or who are trying their best to make it work with the funding which they're receiving from the ministry. And we also need to sometimes like tell them or say supervise them that how they can improve. So this whole traveling process, there's a motivation to improve the functioning of the organizations. That is also like that is something which I understand is mainly we are working for also. And so you get to meet the beneficiaries, you get to talk to them, you get to know their concerns, and their like if they are praising any service, you need to take a note of that how we can like maybe go better at it at the ministry level, or say if there are any like problems which are coming from the organization, we can raise those issues back with like provide a lot of insights that way. And the cons would be when you are traveling say like 10 15 days at a stretch, which is not always the case, but when the work pressure is really high and among the members, that yes, you have to go and now work in this specific state for this specific time period. There's a certain target which is already there in place, that if you're going on this travel plan, you have to complete at least this much of institution, so that we can complete all the monitoring process within time or within deadline. So that is there in place. And so because of this, sometimes it gets hectic, and sometimes you can also be traveling for 10 15 days at a stretch. So that is why like when I was mentioning to you guys before as well, when we travel, it becomes a little hectic, and say the exhaustion sometimes affect the health. But if you can like formulate your travel plan efficiently and also work on some say self-care routines, I think you can make it work, because this job profile is already as transparent that you have to travel a lot, so you cannot really deny when the work pressure comes. You have to work for it, and you have to make adjustment with your daily routines. So I will leave the platform for Shreya now.
Yeah, I mean, there are multiple pros and cons, and the pros and cons for me would be like Saptadeepa said, like you get to interact with the beneficiaries, you understand what is the ground reality, you understand how the policies are devised and all of that. And cons also, like because it is a very hectic job, there is no personal time. So the idea of self care and personal time takes a bit of a dip because there's a lot of hectic travel. But there are days when we are in the office and when we do not have such hectic travel. So it's kind of a mix of both. But yeah, travel is more. So yeah, and cons can also be because it's because you're placed in a government office and you're working with the government officials, so there's certain kind of ambiguity and uncertainty involved in that process. And the whole process of functioning together, because you are an outsider, you're not part of the permanent government officials, you are an outsider. So
Yeah.
making a change in that scenario and making yourself being making such sound arguments so that you've been heard, so that I think is a bit difficult part. So I mean, one needs to be very on feet on it's not only about travel, but it's also about what you gain from the travel, the feedback and everything. So just establishing the credibility of before the officials and getting things done, and also being in that ambiguous uncertain environment and then still be able to function, that I think is a bit of a difficult part.
Okay, so I have one question. As the lockdown is prevailing all across the country, so how this state visit is possible in this time? Are you doing virtual survey or something like virtual meeting, like as we are doing, anything like that?
Sorry, your voice was breaking. Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Can you
Yeah,
repeat the
so
question?
I'm just saying, as lockdown is prevailing all across the country. Okay, so basically, we are not allowed to visit outside. So, in this situation, how the state visit is possible?
So last year, what happened is when we joined the job, after the orientation program in Delhi, we came back to our respective native places and we did the work from home for about like 2 months. That time, the ministry and NIST had set agendas for us that what are we supposed to work on and what kind of work submissions do we need to provide in that span of time. We did contacted the organizations and we took interviews over phone. So that was basically virtual interviews where we inspected those very organizations after a few months in person on the field. So that was one of our that was part of our daily work routine. And apart from that, ministry and NIST always have other engagements also involved. Like we were formulating the documents related to a certain drug scheme, and then we were also trying to prepare some launching schemes for an initiative. So I mean, there are different kind of work also involved, which they distribute and allocate to the PME members according to their capabilities and their interest and understanding. So, but that is being distributed by the NIST or say ministry itself. So,
Okay, yeah. So, as whenever fresher or any experienced person
so
is
I just
applying for
wanted
a
to.
job,
I think if Shreya wants to add something, if I missed out
yeah,
something,
yeah, yeah,
or
sure, sure.
if she has anything different to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, we do have work from home. Like right now, we are not traveling. We are doing work
Yeah.
from home and contacting
Okay, yeah.
institutions virtually and like conducting meetings virtually. However, one needs to be when we are applying, one needs to be prepared that we would have to and we might have to travel in strict COVID situations because government officials are exempted from COVID. So we have an ID and all of that. So that way, we have to travel in the COVID right now because it's the second wave and it's getting really bad and a lot of states have lockdown. So we started traveling last year in August, July and end in August. So whichever states like had pulled down lockdown and it was allowed to travel, we had traveled. So we need to keep in mind that even if we might be told to travel from tomorrow, there is no sense of like surety that till here you will not be allowed to travel. So that one needs to be prepared that even in tough situations like COVID or floods or any of that, people have to travel. So that is a given case. You cannot like say no, because especially in Maharashtra, while we began, Maharashtra was suffering really bad from COVID, but we had to, like the state coordinators of Maharashtra had to travel Maharashtra. So yeah, that's a given.
Okay, Soumya, before you proceed to the next question, I would just ask everyone to please post your questions like public or send it to everyone, because I think we both are here and we both need to answer to the questions. So don't send me any questions privately. Yeah, Soumya, we can go ahead with the next
Yeah.
question.
So, as any fresher or any experienced person is going to apply for any job, basically he have to submit an application, right? So, for applying in NIST or in any government of India job, so what are the tips for filling an application form while applying for a job?
Yeah, I think there are no tips as such, because it's a fairly simple form. But
Okay.
Shreya, can you go first?
yeah, I'm so it's a fairly simple form, but it's a bit technical that we need to not like we need to ensure that we do not include any special characters, especially for this form, and we need to stick to the word limit, and also be very honest and clear about what are we trying to say here, because there would be like thousands of applications that would come in, so you need to make yours stand out. And how would you do that is being like very clear and honest with whatever you have done in your life. And yeah, there are just two theoretical questions asked in that form. So that is a very fairly simple form. If you see other fellowships, it's very complicated process. But however, this one is a very fairly simple form. So you just need to be honest and clear. Like you need to have clarity in your head about why you're applying and what are the projects that you have done. And the this thing marks allocation is also public, so you can definitely see that what would stand you out and what would give you enough marks. So, yeah.
Okay.
Just to add, like Shreya covered everything. It's just that keep your CVs updated and provide the relevant information according to this job post. And keep your maybe the resume short and precise, so that the person who is reading your CVs can get a clear idea that why are you actually applying for this job and what kind of experience you have gained so far as a student, or say if you're already there in some professional job right now, so what kind of experiences you have gained so far. So that's there. That's all.
Okay, so after filling that application form, is there any written test that the candidate have to give in?
Okay, so yeah, I received a lot of questions related to that in the private messages. So just to clear this, give an example. Last year, what happened is 100 candidates, according to their CVs, were shortlisted after the application was open, after the deadline ended, and we were called to Delhi for an written examination, which was computer based, which are basically essay type questions. And after that, only 30 students were selected out of 100. And out of those interview of the 30 people, 15 were selected. So this is a basically 3-tier screening process, which might be followed this year as well. So this year, because the intake is around 23 as per the advertisement, you can expect around 230 CVs getting shortlisted, because it's always a 10% intake at the last. So yes.
Also, I think this time they have aptitude test and group discussion as well. So there might be
Right. Yeah.
multiple processes involved. At that time, there was just a written test of containing 2 essays. I can give you an idea of what was 2 essays. So written exam would definitely be there this time also. So those 2 essays were, one was, why do you think India is a federal state? So you had to like define about India being a federal state constitutionally and ministry wise. And then second question was, how would you evaluate government programs? So if you're thinking of how to prepare for these theoretical or writing essays, I would suggest you to go through the website, understand all the schemes, mandates, what it does, and how was the ministry formed, why was there a need to form this ministry, go through a bit of a history and understand what the ministry is and what the ministry does. And yeah, I think that would be enough, and a little bit of data pointers on, the population that the ministry caters to, how much does it form at the national level. So yeah, like the transgender population, SC population, OBC population, what is the scenario of drugs in India. All these data points, if you have in mind, you'd be at a better stage to write all these answers.
And also, since we covered a little bit about the materials which were used, or say concepts which we referred to while preparing, I did had like limited time in hand, because I think I only had 4 or 5 days for preparation before the whole screening process started. So I did referred, and this time the span is quite good. I mean, the candidates are getting quite a good time to prepare for themselves. I did revised, I did refer to my development studies coursework, which I was doing under my master's. So I covered all the sociological concepts, and all the development studies basic concepts which are required, and which are required to be read, and all like current questions, current basically like general knowledge affairs questions, or say current affairs which are going around. So yes, constitution of like, you also need to read, as Shreya mentioned, that go through the Constitution of India and like try to read the basic features and all the basic framework of it, and try to get an understanding, so that if any question comes from that part, you will be able to answer it. So yeah, that's all.
Okay. Okay. So would you like to refer any kind of tip or any kind of book for the written exam? As Shreya already mentioned, have to visit the website for deep to study about the history and other stuff as well. So would, other than website visit, would you like to refer any book that might can help the those aspirants who want to join?
I actually did not limited myself to following a certain book. As I mentioned, I because I was studying my masters that time, I revised my actually whole coursework, which I was completing under the development studies, because that helped me covered a lot part of it. If someone in this live session right now is like doing the sociology coursework, or say development or international studies related question like coursework, one part of it would be development studies oriented. So try to look at that, and basically get your concepts, like get an understanding of your concepts very right, because this will not only help in the written examination, but it will also help you answering in the interview round, or if there is any group discussion round, as Shreya mentioned. So you, when you get your concepts right, you will be able to also relate it with like real life based examples, and then you will be able to answer them properly. And also your panelist will get an idea that you know about the concepts, or you're like you have that knowledge. So yeah, that needs to reflect. I mean, uh, see, we cannot really assure ourselves that we know everything. We can't even, I personally don't keep that attitude with myself that I know everything and I'm better than everyone. That's not the case. I mean, every candidate here is equal. And I mean, they all are working hard to prepare for this whole screening process. So I think whatever knowledge you have so far, just like revise through them, so that you at least know that much of part for yourself. So it will help you with answering and responding to the questions. So yeah.
Anything else that you want to add, Shreya?
No, I think Saptadeepa has explained it. Yeah, I mean, go through the basic GK and current affairs thing, like what is happening. Read through the newspapers. So, because in interview also you might be asked questions about certain theories and certain definitions for what we understand. Like for example, beggary, because it's a beggary is a mandate of Ministry of Social Justice. Now, in a normal way, what we understand beggary and how it is defined by the Constitution of India is two different things. So, like, just go through all the definitions of how do we define adult, bakery, and all these things. And like all related to ministry, and because ministry is social justice, so all social sciences background and all social sciences courses. So just skimming through all of that would be helpful.
Okay, so Shreya, can you give us more insights? Like, other than that, what kind of questions are asked in personal interview round?
Personal interview round is mostly about why do you think you are a good fit, and like any other interview round, it's about who you are, why do you want to do this, what have been your past experiences, how do you think you would leverage that them here, and then the interview was very basic. Like it did not have multiple like some data points or some this understanding that you would require, but a very basic understanding of society around you and a very basic understanding of what social justice means and multiple schemes that it caters to.
Okay, so according to you, PI is much easier than written examination, right? Is it?
Somewhere you're not audible. Can you keep your microphone closer to your mouth?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm asking you, according to you, personal interview is easy than the written test examination.
I mean, I'll not say easy. It's just
Okay,
less time taking because the interview was for like the written exam was for 2 hours and interview was for like 7 to 10 minutes. But then
okay,
the interview is something where you would directly be engaged with the government officials. Like all these are secretary, joint secretary level officials who'd be taking your interview. So they definitely want to see who are you, what are you, why are you interested in this job. So that's more about your personality, whereas written examination is more about your knowledge. So both of them like have equal importance. But yeah, if
yeah,
you are a person who answers questions confidently, has a knowledge about what ministry does and all of that, that would definitely help. Saptipa, you would want to add?
Yeah, I just want because I just want to add that your questions to avoid any repetition in it, like you know the situations, like whenever in any interview goes, that when a person comes out from an interview room, people do ask what kind of questions they were asked. So I think in order to avoid that repetition of questions, your questions will be based. Your questions will be based on the experiences you have mentioned in your CVs or the kind of answers you have written in your written examination. You might be asked questions related to your statement you have written in your answers, or say the kind of mentions given in your CVs. So that way, it is also a little individualistic. We did not had we did not have any aptitude test. I don't remember that. We directly had the examination objective directly had. So the aptitude test was designed like any other normal aptitude test, which is used for screening process during the job vacancies. So you can prepare accordingly, like any other normal aptitude test. And apart from this, just stay confident, stay calm, and stay polite in your approach and humble. So that is something you should keep in mind. Keep your calm and stay polite in your approach while answering the questions to the ministry. One more thing which they would like to assess, I think, because this job requires a lot of traveling, they might be asking questions around how much travel are you willing to take, or say what is basically they would like to know your motivation so that they know that they are selecting the right candidate. So I think that is all. Yeah.
okay. So, okay. So, how you think the selection process is tough or is an easy task? Because as we know, recruitment is much easier, but selection is a negative process. So, how selection is in terms of Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment?
See, I think here Shreya will be able to give a better picture because this was my first job and this was my first ever screening process which I went through. So I cannot really comment on the competitiveness level or say toughness level. But for me as a beginner to my career, I think it was a very significant kind of training process which I went through. It was kind of overwhelming at the start because I mean they're selecting 30 students. In our case, in our batch case, I mean it was selecting like 30 students out of a batch of 100 shortlisted students. So I think the first stage was a little overwhelming. I mean, you like yeah, that was overwhelming. But then after that, like you know what kind of preparation you have done, so I think you will be fine accordingly. That's all.
Yeah, to given some data on that regard, the selection process is like 1:100 ratio that you can understand. Like 1% of the total applicants who have applied, only 1% gets selected. And for example, yeah, only 1% gets selected. 1:100 is the ratio. And at our time, there were actually 15. There were actually 15 vacancy for 15 of us, and right now there's 23. So I mean, yeah, this time they're selecting more people, so that might increase your chances. But again, because at our time it was just the first cohort that we are. This is the second cohort, so more people know about it and all of that. So that may also increase the competition. But I don't think so. That should matter. You should prepare according to you, and that should not matter anywhere. Like competition is there, but that should not harm your passion or understanding of why do you want to do this job. So I think that we can keep aside. But yeah, just to give a number, only 1% people of total who apply get selected. So yeah, in that case it is definitely competitive and tough.
Okay. So, what is your future prospect about your job? Is it provide they are providing a very good or very positive work-life balance, because most of the people are very conscious about the work-life balance.
Okay. So yeah, about the work-life balance, I think. See, I don't think it's pretty like trying to keep up with a good work-life balance is something unique to this job opportunity. This is something which goes on in every professional life. So you need to figure out your own ways how to keep a self-care aspect of yourself. If you're like passionate about a certain hobby or any interest which is apart from your work life, stay attached with that. You cannot really lose that part of yourself. Well, I don't try to lose that, at least in my case. So you need to figure out your own ways how to adjust with the expectation, like how to adjust with your own interest, at the same time without compromising the quality of work which you're producing for the job, for this job, under this job requirements. And I mean, yeah, and that is something quite personal take. I think I cannot really comment for anyone else, but yeah, that is how I've been handling. And future prospect is like for me personally, I wish to pursue research based in career. So I would like to proceed to a PhD, for which I was looking a short term like job like this. So this job interest in the first place fit my interests. So that is also one of the motivation why I joined this job. So yeah, that's all from my side.
Yeah, I mean, work-life balance definitely takes a toll, but
Yeah.
because you would be flying like 5 a.m., 10 p.m. flights, and you would be traveling, coming back to from the field, you would might be coming back at 9 p.m., traveling like 250, 300 kilometers in a day normally. So work-life balance definitely gets
Yeah.
to like take a toll, but like Saptadeepa mentioned, and she's one of the members who sticks to her passions and what keeps her happy and sane. So it definitely depends on individual on how do you take time, but it is not a regular 9 to 5 job, that I can definitely assure you. It's not that once you come back from office, your work gets over. You might be asked for a data like 10 p.m. There'll be a WhatsApp message and you will have to fill the data. You cannot
Yeah.
just say that 10 p.m. is not my work life, and I'll only reply to messages. Like, this is not a very corporate mindset where you have a proper work life balance and all of that. This is a very sarkari job and a very sarkari mindset that once they ask you data, you have to give them data. And they are choosing young people because they understand that young people would be able to devote more time. Hence the age limit is up to 25, because you are at this age of you are at this stage where you can given more time for your professional development, and you don't have a lot of things to take care of. So yeah, I mean, that's their idea and their understanding. I'm sure that we might not all agree to it, and work life balance is necessarily important. But yeah, we do like, there are off days, there are days when we do not have enough traveling. So that's, I think, somewhere it kind of gets melted and gets balanced down. But if you are someone who's looking for a like a proper 9 to 5 job where you'll get weekends, at times you don't get weekends here. In fact, your days of public holidays also goes into work, so you need to be very sure that what you are getting into. And second question about future prospects, there are multiple future prospects like any other fellowship or this any other job in a development sector would grant you. All positions or all opportunities in development sector are open to you, and especially in governance consulting, then consulting on government projects, then NGOs, SPOs, working with other ministries, working with other organizations, CSRs, corporates. All these options are available to you, and they will actually the job will actually prepare you, because we day to day we interact with multiple stakeholders, and all these stakeholders are like, they do belong to these multiple spread out development sectors. So then, hence, it is definitely a bit building step to all these places. And also, if you're someone who's looking to work for a while and then prepare for masters or PhD and everything, then also it gives you a good insight into the realities, the rural India and everything. So yeah, that's
As a fact, actually, a lot of like few of us are also preparing for civil examination, civil services. So even that is also a possibility for you, because you also, like, you beforehand get an experience how the government functioning works actually when you stay inside a system, while not actually directly staying inside a system, but you are actually a part of it. So you get a hang of it. And yes, about that traveling, as Shreya like rightly mentioned, you have to be up for any kind of timing or timing for work. There is no, like, there is hardly any concept of weekends basically. I mean, you have to manage your own time, and like flight timings can be very bizarre. Like some of these states which like most of us travel to, we have like 4 a.m., 5 a.m. flights, and we like leave from our home around like 2 a.m. Like basically the whole like sleep cycle gets a little out of track, but then we adjust it when we stay back in Delhi. So when you're committing to these kind of traveling job, like this travel job profile, you have to be up for uh, what, whatever the call of action comes time to time. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. Okay. So most of the audience are very much excited to know like you are doing such a great job. But what is the amount of salary that you are getting, and like you have to
So
visit
any
different, yeah. Can you hear me? Okay. So I'm just asking,
go
like,
ahead. Yeah. You can go ahead.
yeah, sure. So I'm just asking, like you have to visit different kind of states. So, is the company bearing all the your traveling allowance, or you have to bear it from your salary part?
no, the office takes care of
Shreya can go ahead with the answer, and then I can. Yeah.
yeah, the office takes
Yeah,
care
yeah,
of
yeah.
all
Please
your
go ahead.
travel expenses, and it is a consolidated amount that you've been allotted. And though you have to manage your finances very peculiarly, because a lot of times when you travel for a stretch of 10 to 15 days. this is not normal, but a lot of times you do travel for 10 to 15 days, so you need to have enough money with yourself and also while traveling. Because once you get back, then you file for this, then you file for your traveling allowance, and then you get it. So yeah, managing finances is also big, a big criteria here. And then second, you asked me about the remuneration, which is 75,000 per month. Like the package is annual package is 9 lakh plus the travel allowances that we get for traveling.
The tickets are provided by the organization itself, so we don't have to pay for the tickets. We claim the amount after we come back from our travel, and whatever the consolidated amount is allocated per day, we claim that afterwards. So yes, Shreya mentioned you have to keep a track of your expenses so that you can manage the travel plan accordingly.
Okay. So as we are running towards the end of this webinar, so would you like to give any golden tips for the aspirants who want to join ministry? I know there is no any hard and fast rule for the tips, like for cracking anything. It all obviously depend on individual capability. So would you like to give any tips or any kind of guidance so that they can pave a way to crack this interview for the for the joining of ministry?
Um, as you mentioned in the first place, there is no actually like specific rule to follow by. Like in my case, I just remained like I know properly what I have like what kind of experiences I have so far working with different kind of organizations. So I'm just carrying that experience into working on implementation programs here, and it's the knowledge you have gained so far will help you far as well. And about this traveling aspect, I mean, I think a lot of candidates are also fascinated about the traveling part. So it's just to clear it out that I mean, there will be a lot of work when you are in travel. So I mean, if somebody is expecting that you will be able to like also visit a lot of places, that might not be always possible. I mean, you're there for work, so you have to complete that work in the day and come back and report whatever things you have collected, whatever reports you have collected. So that is there. So I mean, you should know what you are getting into. You should know what you are expected out of this job profile. If you know that well enough for yourself, and you know that you can take that much of responsibility and you can keep up with your work, I think then you're good to go for this job.
Yeah, and certain basic things like visit the website, understand what the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment does, what are its mandates, what are the multiple schemes, what the people that it caters to. Like, be very thorough with your understanding of ministry and its schemes, and yeah, be very on with your current affairs. Read the newspapers daily. You might be asked about a recent happening and what are your views upon it in the interview or in the question written examination. So yeah, just once you get shortlisted and you get an email, just be very locally aware and aware of the ministry. That's about it. I think we can also take the questions that we have in the chat box
Yeah, we
because it's 7:56 already.
can take. So like I want to I would like to include a link to our Telegram channel so that everyone can join our Telegram group. And in Telegram group, we are daily posting a job by different kind of companies.
Okay. Shreya, did you get any messages in the private chat box?
Link to
I
our
don't.
Telegram channel. Yeah.
I don't think so. I think I have on the. No, I have some messages on private chat box, but yeah, we can go ahead answering them one by one. I'll just put the question
A
forward
lot of
and
questions. So shall we start? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I just run through the questions which we have covered so far and which is not covered. So
Yeah.
this involves any field. This involves any fieldwork. Yes, it majorly does. What is the proportion of graduates and postgraduates in your batch? So there is one person from our batch who completed her graduation and directly joined this job. Rest of us are all postgraduates, if I'm not wrong, Shreya. I think.
Yeah, either we are postgraduates or we have 1 to 2 years of experience.
Yes, yeah. Many of us, many of them are also like previously worked as well. And can final year students also apply? Yes, it is. This job vacancy is actually for them. I mean, if you're a final student, you should apply. Salary we already covered. Syllabus of written aptitude test, yes, we covered. This is going to be it starts with an online screening and ends up being an offline interview round. So yes, that's the process. Selection procedure we have covered. A participant named Vishal Dole has asked, do I need to be better at English? Okay. So I just want to answer it in this way. So some states you will find problem communicating in Hindi because it is not their native language. The major communication is either through English or the native language. For example, state Kerala, Tamil Nadu, they northeast states with Manipur, Nagaland, and Mizoram. So we travel to these states, like to basic English, so that with the people for your life, and also when you approach the fisheries organization, talk to them. So in that matter, travel about basic Excel. Otherwise, if you have basic knowledge about English, it will help you to communicate better after you get enrolled under this job. Selection process we covered, and how to make your CV stand out. We mentioned that clearly. Just keep the information true to yourself. Any law students apply for this. Any person from any discipline can apply for this job. Yes. How frequent is the promotion? Okay. So here your salary gets is fixed for 2 years. There is no raise in this regard, and I don't think there is an promotion in. It's a two non-renewable contractual job. Basically, you have to leave after working for 2 years ministry. So there is no promotion here. I mean, you can job other ministries after you the tenure. So do lessons here. That is what I can understand right now, because we started last year as a first batch, and this time they're taking the second batch. So this will go on every year, annually once. Age bar is a must. Age bar is a must. So 25 years is the maximum age limit. Anyone falls under that age can apply. Social experiences one has to mention in their forms. I mean, you cannot really make up information here, right, in your CVs. So it will be based on whatever you have worked on so far. So that will be basically your social experiences. And sorry to take so much of time. I just got too many questions. A lot of them are repetitive ones, so I'm just skimming through that. Prepare for the exams, we covered that. Okay, there is someone named, some participant named Priya Thakur who mentioned social projects are compulsory. So I think you're asking this in regard to the CVs to mention about the social experiences. It just, I mean, this question is only asked because they want to know what kind of like social projects, or say kind of internship experiences. So in that regard, this question is being asked in the application form. And somebody also asks when they're actually asking for the CV, because it is not asked right now with the application. So keep your CVs updated and ready. I cannot really comment when it will be asked, but maybe after you get shortlisted according to your application, maybe after that they will ask for your CVs. So on what basis they select your merit, your capability, and your ability to understand the job profile is what I would say right now. Syllabus for test we covered. I also got a lot of, personal experience based questions, so I cannot really answer them here right now. These are pretty long messages. People outside the social science background, yes, you can apply as well. Is there a group discussion? I think it is there this time. Average tenure, this is only one tenure for 2 years, which is non-renewable, as it is clearly mentioned in the advertisement. Claim the tickets, we already mentioned about that. Tickets are already booked by the organization, and other travel expenses are covered after we cover the travel. This is not a permanent job. We are not currently enrolled for any ongoing training, but it's just recently I represented India for the United Nations Office Drugs and Crime. Me and one colleague were shortlisted from the ministry to represent there. So that is only, apart from the work responsibilities which we were given, that is something covered recently. I think other pretty rapid. We can other question you all have. That's all. Last one, accommodation. No, you have to arrange everything for yourself before you start traveling. So you will not be having any references in hand in prior. You will have to figure that out after you're assigned the states and the number of districts you have to cover in your travel. That's all. We can go with the other questions.
I think I also had similar questions, and you have covered most of them, so we can go ahead. And yeah, Soumya, do you have any specific questions?
Okay. No, I don't. I guess you guys answered a lot of questions very well, and almost all the queries of our aspirants have been answered through this session. Yeah. So it's been a nice interaction with all of you.
Okay, just Soumya, sorry to interrupt you before ending the session.
Yeah, sure.
Some have asked that if they haven't received the results yet, they can apply. Yes, you can apply, but you have to produce a provisional certificate after getting if you get selected. Okay, the major schemes.
You can put last year's marks. Sorry, Saptadeepa. They are asking that
yes,
what do we put in a marks column, so they can put all their last year's marks.
Okay, one person has asked that what are the current major schemes which you are working on? We are currently work on the drug oriented schemes which are directly handled by the ministry, the senior citizen home schemes, the senior citizen welfare schemes, the schemes related to the SC students. There are like specific schools which are being run for SC students, so that we are taking care of. And as Shreya mentioned in the beginning, we have started to currently also look for the schemes which are under the disability affairs that is not currently handled, but we have been assigned work from that department as well. So that are the major schemes we're handling right now, and we also the NIST is also working on the transgender schemes and beggary as it is there. So these are the current schemes which we are working on. And okay, work experience. I do not really okay. How do I say this? So it's not limited to just like professional work experience, but any kind of even internship experiences you had with any other organization. You can mention that. Just try to formulate your answers accordingly. Cut off first round. Cut off first round. I don't clearly remember. Maybe. Okay, I think yeah, that's all. I'm getting a lot of questions, but those are mostly repetitive in nature. Okay, computer skills and knowledge. Shreya, can you please answer what kind of computer skills and knowledge you?
So yeah, you need to be thorough with Excel, Microsoft PowerPoint, Doc, and any other uh, Google Sheets and all, G Suite and all of that. So yeah, that's it. And there is one of the participants called Vansh, and he wants to message. Please message on the chat. Okay, I'll unmute him and ask.
Hi, thank you so much. I wasn't able to text any message to everyone.
Yeah, please tell
So
me
my
what's your
question is,
question.
I've been applying it for like 2 weeks now, but the moment I enter the answer, and when I click on submit, it shows inaccessible URL.
You are maybe using any special characters in your answers, so try not doing that. Do not use any special characters in your answers, not even full stop or commas. And secondly, try to fill the form within 7 to 8 minutes.
Okay, because we cannot even copy the
Yeah, you
answers, so that's
cannot.
why.
Yeah,
But the otherwise the form is okay because
yeah.
today
A
it
lot
is
of
showing that the
applicants were
website is up.
able to. Yeah, it was down a few days back, but it's now functional. A lot of applicants have applied.
Also, I
Yeah.
hello, am I audible? Yeah,
Yeah.
so this is one of a rare situation in my case. I saw the marking scheme that top 75 institutions will be given marks and rest will be given zero. In my case, my college got de-affiliated. I am a 5-year law student. So in my case, the college got de-affiliated from the university. So what could be the way I could help this? Because once it got de-affiliated, it will not participate in the ranking, and hence there will not be any ranking of my college.
So I think if you're getting your college in the selection panel, if you're able to select your college, then I would suggest you to select. Rest of the decisions would be made by the selection committee, so I cannot comment on that. But if you're getting this option to select your college on the panel, so select that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, so I think we are done with most of the questions. And
Yeah.
and others are repetitive, and we have already answered that. I think we have lost Sapdeepa.
Yeah.
Somna?
And I also believe like we have covered a lot of questions, and they are also satisfied with a Q&A session.
Yeah.
So shall we end this meeting, or you need to cover more questions?
No, I think we are done with the questions. Um, yeah. Yeah, I think we're done. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you to all of the participants for taking your time out and joining us live. Hope we will answer all of your questions, and most of
Hey, Somna, I think we have lost you. So, yeah, we will end this session here. And thank you everyone for joining. And yeah, all the very best. Thank you. Hey, Satyadeep, are you back?
Yeah. Yeah, my screen just got froze, so
Yeah.
sorry about that, for the delay. Yeah, I just wish you all the best and prepare your best possible way. And yeah, I think we have tried to cover all the possible questions we have been getting for the past few days over all of our social media profiles. So I think, yeah. Am I audible, Shreya?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, that's all from my side. All the best, everyone.
Yeah, so a lot of you have been asking about the recording. I think you can get in touch with Opportunity Cell. They will have the recording, and they will, I think, showcase it on live on Instagram or something. But they will have the recording, so you can message them and ask. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. Well, the time which when I went delayed, was there any question which
No, no,
required
no.
an
We have
answer?
mostly answered everything.
Okay. 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 Then it's fine. Thank you, everyone, for joining. All the best.